boy just wanted to. He just wanted to drink his father's unfinished yogurt. But he didn't expect his father to take it away from him, and warned the boy. He warned him not to touch anything he ate. The boy looked aggrieved, but he didn't know that his father was actually protecting him. John was just an ordinary cleaner. After divorcing his wife, his greatest wish was to raise his son. But bad luck always finds those who are suffering. Not long ago, he was found to have only 3 months left to live. This accident was like a bolt from the blue. It shattered all his plans. John didn't know how to tell his son. He could only fill his last moments. To fill these last moments with love. But that wasn't enough. He had to find the right adoptive family for his son while he could still walk. He soon found a rich man, and the couple was easygoing. But it wasn't long before John realized they had a child. They'd be treated differently. John gave up. On his way back, John asked his son on the bridge. He asked his son if he wanted to live in a richer home. But his son said very seriously, "I like our home." The more his son said that, John became more and more uncomfortable. He had to look for a better adoptive family. The lady at the orphanage suggested he make a time capsule, so he could remember him better. But John didn't want to do it because he wanted his son to forget about him. In his spare time, John would spend all the time he could with his son. They'd go to the park together. They went to see the digger, which was their son's favorite thing, and ate delicious ice cream. John wished he could stop time for a moment, but his weak body kept reminding him that he didn't have much time left. The next day, when John went to work at a rich man's house, he threw a carton of eggs on the glass he had just cleaned, even on the rich man's limousine. The reason he did this was that he was taking a break from a headache. The tycoon not only fired him, he verbally insulted him. John had to throw an egg at himself. John finally found a second family. This family had a great personality, but unfortunately, they had already adopted too many children. John gave up on his introverted son. John gave up, and then it was his birthday. His son put 34 candles in a candle just for him, and then he gave him another candle. He wanted to make a promise to spend next year's birthday together. His son's thoughtfulness and understanding made John's heart ache because it was his last birthday. The third woman in the family had a child when she was 16 years old. She gave her baby away because she was young, but she couldn't get pregnant again. Her husband left her. She was desperate for love. She wanted to adopt a child for the rest of her life. Watching her son relax and play, John finally had a smile on his face. He could tell this woman would definitely treat his son well in the future. But suddenly his son asked when the woman would die. The atmosphere in the room froze for a moment. John didn't want to leave his son with a single parent. He wanted to see if there was a better option, but his health was deteriorating. The next family was a very nice family, but the man couldn't even let his son play with a model train. He couldn't even let his son play with a model train. What's even more outrageous, when he left, he took back the doll he gave to his son. The man dismissed the family. How can he give his son the love he needs? The father and son walked hand in hand towards their home. But the son suddenly said in a milky voice, "I don't want to be adopted," as his son ran away like he was having a tantrum. John's heart ached. If it was possible, he would never give his son up for adoption. Although his son was young, he seemed to sense that his father was leaving him. So when faced with the new pajamas his father bought, he didn't want them at all, because he was afraid that if he put on the new pajamas, he would be given to a new family. Watching his son throw out his favorite toys, John laughed a little helplessly. Early the next morning, John sold his car. Then he took his son on a wild ride. He and his son went to all the amusement parks in the world, tried all kinds of food. John wanted his son to forget about him, but at the same time, he wanted to live in his memory forever. That night, John said a special goodbye to his son, to tell him that his father was about to die. Even though his son didn't understand, but he could feel his father's love and sadness, and that was enough. John took the sister's advice. He wrote 15 letters from his heart on each of his son's future birthdays. He opened one, with a picture of the two of them playing together. The son seemed to have sensed something. He couldn't sleep that night. Early the next morning, John took his son and left the house. They chose this woman, who was going to be single for the rest of her life, because she was the only one who could possibly give all her love and energy to his son alone. The son looked at the woman in front of him in disbelief. He already knew what would happen next, but this time he didn't cry. He just looked up at his favorite father. His eyes were filled with sadness.